A few days ago, the Euphoria Season 3 premiere finally happened. The whole cast showed up: Sydney Sweeney, Jacob Elordi, Hunter Schafer, Alexa Demi. Everyone was taking photos together, celebrating, looking like one big happy family. But Zendaya, she walked the red carpet individually. Solo photos only. Not a single shared picture with any of her castmates. Moreover, she reportedly even refused to take photos with showrunner Sam Levinson while he was literally begging her. Now, the official story is scheduling. She arrived separately and very late. Timing didn't work out, busy woman with a million projects. And that might be true, but sources are saying something very different. That the real reason Zendaya avoided every group photo that night was simple. She didn't want to be photographed next to Sydney Sweeney. And rather than single Sydney out, she just didn't take photos with anyone. Some people are calling it unprofessional. They're saying Zendaya is acting like she's above her own cast, like she's a bigger star who doesn't need to show up for the team moment. And also because Euphoria is the very show that gave Zendaya her massive career boost and even earned her an Emmy. So, seeing her distance herself like this just doesn't sit right with a lot of people. Some fans are defending her. Others are saying this was a power move, a very deliberate, very calculated way of making a statement without saying a single word. So, what is really going on between Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney? And why has it gotten so bad that even a premiere red carpet couldn't bring them together? That's exactly what we're getting into today. A month ago, HBO Max dropped behind-the-scenes footage from Euphoria Season 3, Zendaya, Hunter Schafer, Alexa Demi, and Maud Apatow, all hanging out together. Looks like a normal, warm cast moment. But the internet noticed something immediately. Every main actress was there, except Sydney Sweeney, and the comments went off. A production source told TMZ that the footage was shot simply at a moment when Sydney had left to film another scene. That's it. Her absence had nothing to do with any alleged conflict with Zendaya. Okay, official explanation received. But then why did millions of people instantly believe the drama? Because this isn't the first time. And once you see the full picture, you'll understand why people aren't buying the official story. Let's go back to November 2025. The Daily Mail drops a story that immediately goes everywhere. According to the outlet, Zendaya and Sweeney are locked in a bitter feud, allegedly refusing to stand next to each other at events. And according to sources, it all comes down to their very different political views. The source said, "It's no wonder she's refusing. Zendaya is in a really tough spot. If she simply stands next to Sydney on a red carpet, it could be read as her silently endorsing Sweeney's views on Trump and her refusal to apologize for the racist ad." Sources also claim that Zendaya refused to participate in joint press calls for the upcoming season and is actively avoiding being seen near Sweeney because her presence beside her could be interpreted as approval. Neither of them has officially confirmed anything, but silence in Hollywood is still an answer. It all started in July 2025, when Sydney starred in an American Eagle campaign with the slogan, "Sydney Sweeney has great genes." The wordplay between jeans and jeans immediately caused an explosion online. According to sources, it was this campaign that marked the turning point, the moment their alleged conflict started to escalate. Then, it came out that Sweeney was an open supporter of the Trump administration, unlike Zendaya, who had publicly expressed opposition to the Republican leader. And then, Trump himself commented on the ad controversy, publicly backing Sweeney.
If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic.
For her, that was simultaneously protection and a death sentence. Because in 2025, Hollywood, supporting Trump isn't just a political position. It's a line in the sand between who's in and who's out. When Sweeney had the chance to distance herself from the Trump Association and the racism accusations, she didn't take it.
Genetic superiority, like that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
But there's another layer to this story, and it makes everything so much more interesting. His name is Tom Holland. Spider-Man, who proposed to Zendaya at the end of 2024, was regularly visiting the Euphoria set during filming. He's known for being everyone's friend on set. That's just who he is. And that's where things get interesting. According to an insider, Zendaya was not happy when Tom and Sydney started chatting on set. The source described it as At best unnecessary, at worst disrespectful, especially given that Zendaya and Sweeney don't get along and are actively avoiding each other. In the end, according to The Insider, Zendaya essentially warned Sydney to stay away from Tom. Zendaya isn't trying to dictate who Tom talks to, but with Sydney, she doesn't want someone she doesn't trust getting too close to her fiancé. It's about boundaries, a source told Star magazine, but then something else surfaced. And this is a whole other level. Screenshots began circulating online, claiming that back in 2021, Sweeney had liked tweets calling Tom Holland attractive, at a time when Tom was already regularly visiting the Euphoria set specifically to see Zendaya. Zendaya once called Tom a calming presence, and has spoken openly about how much their privacy matters to both of them. Now imagine you're Zendaya. You already have a tense relationship with your co-star. And then it comes out that this same co-star was liking posts about your fiancé 3 years ago. If Tom shows up at the press tour or premiere, Sydney has reportedly already received a very clear signal: stay away. But wait, because if you think the problem is only with Zendaya, you don't know the full story yet. According to the same insider, Sydney Sweeney is not just at odds with Zendaya, but with Maud Apatow and Alexa Demi too. And reportedly, none of the women in the cast want to do press with her. The same source claims that Sweeney caused delays on the Euphoria set, and some fans responded by saying that if true, her character should have just been written off the show. But here's what makes this situation truly strange, because 3 years ago, everything looked completely different. In a 2022 interview, Sydney, Alexa, and Maud were laughing together, joking on camera. Alexa even revealed that during the infamous bathtub vomit scene, Sydney actually threw up for real, and they both couldn't stop laughing. And Maud admitted in interviews that she and Sydney had grown really close and were friends outside of filming. And it showed. They celebrated Halloween together, shared photos. So what happened between 2022 and 2026? Alexa Demi is a separate story entirely. Because for Alexa, Sydney's political stance isn't some abstract Twitter argument. It's personal. Alexa grew up in Atwater Village, Los Angeles, raised by her mother, Rose Mendez, a Mexican immigrant and makeup artist. Spanish was Alexa's first language, before English. She openly identifies as Latina, speaks Spanish fluently, and has said she uses her acting career to fight stereotypes about Latin women in Hollywood. Now imagine, you're the daughter of a Mexican immigrant. You've spent your whole life watching people who look like your mother become political targets. You grew up in a neighborhood full of families just like yours. And suddenly, your co-star, the girl you've played former best friends with on screen for years, is openly supporting someone whose policies are aimed directly at families like yours. And the last thing about Alexa, and this might be the most painful part, in November 2025, she admitted she was thinking about quitting acting, because as a Latina, landing leading roles is just that hard. Sydney doesn't have that problem. Fans on social media have been saying it for a long time. Maddie Perez is one of the most iconic characters of a generation, and Alexa deserved the career that Sydney got. Sydney and Alexa are constantly compared online. Two girls who started on the same show, in the same moment, and ended up in completely different places. Moving on, Maud Apatow, daughter of Judd Apatow, raised in the most progressive corner of Hollywood imaginable. Politically and culturally, she is the complete opposite of Sydney. And according to the same sources, Maud is among those who have most publicly distanced themselves from Sweeney. Now here's the theory nobody wants to say out loud, because while everyone is busy talking about politics and ad scandals, let's talk about money. Sydney Sweeney launched her own production company, 50/50 Films. Anyone But You grossed over $220 million worldwide. The Housemaid, nearly $400 million. She signed a $7.5 million deal. Launched a lingerie brand with Jeff Bezos. Has 26 million Instagram followers. She's 28 years old. From a business standpoint, Hollywood executives are closely watching the dynamics inside the cast. A public conflict between two lead stars can impact merch sales, streaming numbers, and brand partnerships. And here's the uncomfortable question. Isn't part of the tension around Sydney Sweeney coming from the fact that she became bigger than the show? Euphoria made Zendaya, but it also made Sydney, and Sydney has been arguably more active, more prolific, and commercially more successful outside the show than almost anyone else in the cast, except Zendaya herself. Some fans have a theory that other cast members, Alexa Demi, Hunter Schafer, Maude Apatow, are simply jealous of Sweeney's success because they all started as unknowns on the same show at the same time. And now their careers couldn't be more different. But the Euphoria cast situation is just one front. Because lately, Sydney Sweeney has managed to create friction with pretty much everyone in the industry. Let's start with Glenn Powell. Remember when the whole world was convinced they were dating during the Anyone But You press tour? Well, we were selling a rom-com, Sweeney admitted herself, hinting that they deliberately fueled the rumors. But then it came out that Powell's girlfriend at the time broke up with him, partly because of what happened between him and Sydney. That didn't go unnoticed in Hollywood. Then, Scooter Braun. In the summer of 2025, Sweeney started dating the most toxic name in the music industry, the man who bought the master recordings of Taylor Swift's first 6 albums. The internet's reaction was instant and brutal. Millions of Swifties declared Sweeney public enemy number 1. According to sources, because of this relationship, Sydney skipped the Emmy after party feeling unwelcome. Think about that. One of the most in-demand actresses in Hollywood, a person not welcome at an industry party. Sweeney and Braun were reportedly shocked by the scale of the backlash and considered it completely overblown. But add the politics on top of all this, and you start to understand that Sydney Sweeney in 2026 is someone who has managed to simultaneously fall out with the Swifties, progressive Hollywood, and the cast of her own show.